Growing up, there are many people that we look up to for guidance, support, inspiration. And if we're lucky, some of those people actually live up to our expectations. This is a story of one such person who has changed people's lives and still inspires today.
This is a story of Mozart Kaufman. He was my father's best friend. He was a war hero, businessman, and an artist. But most important, he had a generosity of spirit and heart that made him one of the best people I have ever known. He was a second father to me. This is his legacy, the fingerprint of a life well lived. There was no one like him. I knew him all my life, and I called him Mommy. He doesn't like to brag much, but during World War II, he was a fighter pilot who was always ready for a dangerous mission over enemy territory.
That was a war that we were fighting for something. We were fighting Hitler. We were fighting the bad people. In Vietnam, we weren't fighting anyone. In Korea, it was the same thing. That war was different. That was the war to save the world. That's what we were doing.
On July 30th, 1944, German tanks continued to attack the small towns along the coast of France. The Allies had to counter this attack.
We were going after trains, trucks, anything we could see moving. There were Germans. I came down and I strafed, and as I came down, a bomb went off underneath. And my plane was thrown into the air, and as I went out, I was burned here, and I was burned here, and I was burned on my face, and I didn't realize, but my back was also burned.
He landed safely, only to become a prisoner of war.
That's my wingman who was shot down the same time I was shot down. Woody Klenner, and he was flying wing with me, and he was shot down, and he was taken to a hospital in Reims, so he did not end up in prison camp. 35 years later, he called me on the phone at home, and we met in San Francisco together and came home. And he told me that he was circling over to see if I had bailed out okay. And within 60 seconds, he saw my plane, which was in flames. He saw it disintegrate in the air. It was gone 60 seconds after I left the plane. And he saw that. He told me that 35 years later.
When he was a prisoner of war, and they took all the Jewish prisoners and put them all together because apparently Hitler gave orders to kill them all. And as I remember it, that the head person of all the camps and so forth didn't carry it out. But that was what Hitler wanted. And he was asked again in this interview, which I saw, "Weren't you afraid?" He goes, "Afraid of what?" He said, "I never was afraid of dying. It just doesn't cross my mind." It didn't cross his mind. He says, "I had other things to think about." And the other things to think about was like maybe survival or what he's going to eat or writing his wife a letter. I mean, it was amazing. It really is. And I would think that you'd have a fear of dying, but this man does not have a fear of dying in that sense.
I don't think it affected me at all. No, it didn't affect me. To me, that was the most exciting time of my life also. I haven't run into, well, I shouldn't say that, a couple of them, but many POWs that I've talked to, they said, "I'd never do it again, but the experience that I had in my life, it was wonderful." Not to enjoy it, but to have done something, to stand up there and know that you could take it and everything. You see what I mean? And I just haven't run into many POWs that don't say, that was an experience. Well, lots of things that we do we don't like, but we say afterwards, I'm glad I've got it behind me. And this is what it was like.
It's that attitude, not the fact that he was a fighter pilot, that makes him a hero in my eyes. In 1952, Momi opened Kaufman's department store in downtown San Anselmo. Through the years, the store would change, but Momi's positive attitude never did. When I was about 19, I worked for a contractor doing labor. And I happened to be working on his store, Kaufman's department store, that he was building in San Anselmo. And I was laying on my back with a pick and shovel, digging straight up. And he, being the nice guy he is, he came down to talk to all the people. You know, if you were a laborer, you were, oh, he's just a laborer. He wouldn't be like that. He'd come down, he'd talk to anybody, you know, and just, he'd be concerned, you know, how's it going? And so forth. So he came down and he looked in this hole. I remember I was laying on my back with this pick, and he kind of looked in this hole and he goes, "Hi, Kramer, how you doing?" And I looked at him and go, "Oh, I don't know if I like this," you know. And he smiled and he goes, "Well, you know, you don't have to do this. You can go to college or whatever you wanted to do. But you know, do whatever you want to do as long as you're happy."
Everywhere I go, I look and I say, "Oh, honey, look at those roofs. Aren't they beautiful in Paris? They're the most beautiful roof lines that you find anywhere in the world." And I point out everything. "Oh, honey, look at those flowers." I say to my wife, I say, "Honey, look at the clouds today. Aren't they beautiful? Look at the sunset." I'm always seeing things. And she said to me one day, she said, "You know, you should paint." I said, "Honey, I can't paint. I don't know how. I don't know what to do."
But he found a teacher and he learned to paint despite the fact that he owned a business. Like running a store, Momi took on his new hobby with the dedication of a fighter pilot. Even after he suffered a stroke, Momi was determined to continue painting.
This is all right, but my shoulder. Well, when you write and when you paint, you do like this. You see, I can't make a line.
He doesn't let anything stop him. So he learned to work around his problem by using a palette knife and turning the artwork rather than turning his wrist.
I never give up on anything. Never in my life. I like challenges. Oh, I love them. I don't like things easy. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
On Momi's 88th birthday, he flew a World War II trainer biplane as family and friends cheered him on.
I'm ready to go.
Okay.
I'm ready to go. Come on. Come on, let's go. Come on, everybody. Okay. You want me in the middle? Okay. When you always look at the bright side of everything, that's the way to be.
Mozart Kaufman's own memories as a fighter pilot in World War II and a prisoner of war are captured here in his book. He doesn't talk about it very much, and he doesn't advertise, but he says it's here for people who care.